Hey guys, Blake Eigen here. Welcome back to the channel. Wanted to ask you a question. If I could show you one strategy that would beat your competition 50% of the time, or increase your customer retention value by 35%, or increase your win ratio to 38%, would you be interested to figure out what that is? Well, I won't keep you guessing. It's called team selling. And team selling is how I started in sales. We just didn't call it that. So in team selling, when I was starting out 30 years ago, we had to create a group that had 4 people in my team, team A, and then 4 people in team B. And so what we did when we were going into the market, we were selling from Atlanta into the Midwest. And so what we had to find out was, who were we going to bring on board that were going to be our lead generators, our go-getters, our hustlers, right? And then we needed to see, do we have any people that could come on that have experience in sales that can help the hustlers and help the lead generators to close the deals? And that was kind of the recipe for success. And as we were generating that, we just saw the numbers just come together. And we were so impressed by what the teams could do. We actually changed a couple of the members of the teams based on personalities and based on just different types of salesmen or strategies. And we'd flip it up every once in a while, and it worked really, really well. I'll give you another example. So I was in sales in a technical role, and so I was kind of that technical closer, kind of deeper dive with the customer when we had one person that would go out and do all the lead gen and be the front man, and then I would come in and say, okay, this is the solution that we can provide. This is how we can get this done for you. And the customer would say, oh yeah, that'd be great. And what we constantly saw was the fact that we had those higher closing deals. We brought more teammates in. And so for that, let me lay that out and kind of give you a little bit more in depth. So if I was to say some action steps, and I'll kind of use my notes here, strategic planning, that's one of the first things that you kind of want to get on board. You want to really make sure that your team is strategic about what they're going to do. So the action item, you want to develop the roles. Who's going to do what? And that we kind of talked about a little bit. And then, of course, what's the sales strategy? What are you guys going to do once you get that lead to come in? And how are the things you're going to process go through that whole thing? And develop your target account. Know who your customer is. Know who that target's going to be. So that's step 1. And then 2, you're going to collaborate. You're going to figure out a place or a way that you're going to execute together. And so you need clear communication, whether that's using email, text message, or your CRM tool, whatever that may be. And you want to go out on joint sales calls. You want to see the customer, get in front of them as a team, and then that way they can kind of see, oh, well, there's a little bit more meat on this here. You want to adapt to the customer needs. And so maybe while somebody's presenting, another person might be taking notes or tabling some of the questions that might be coming at them. And then everybody kind of works together in that framework. Excuse me. So clear communication, joint sales calls, and adapt to the customer needs. And then 3, once you actually are closing deals or getting the offers out there and tracking them and following them up, you want to have a post-sale or post-follow-up activity. So you want to review what worked, what didn't work, how could we, kind of put this thing into a better framework for the customer so they understand it more, and ask those engaging questions, and then of course handling the objections that come back. Because once they start objecting, it's really not an objection. We call it conversation. Once they start conversing with us, that's go time. Because if they're really kind of not interested and they're just, kind of blasé about whatever the conversation or the topic is, you're really not hitting on what they're going through or finding out what their pain points are. Share your ideas, throw them out on the table. I'll give you a great idea or a great time where we were developing some ideas. So I had this client, and they happened to be, a music festival. And what we were trying to come up with was an idea, basically an idea of what does the customer really want that other festivals were not providing. No idea was a bad idea. We just threw everything on the table. And I've always used this strategy. The best idea wins, no matter where it comes from, because sometimes it can be somebody who's not even involved in a sales process. I actually invite a lot of the operations team, and I'll invite a lot of the people that are on the edges that kind of, they see it in a different light. They're not in sales. They understand it. And so just bring everybody to the table for that session. And then how can you improve? How can you improve the marketing? How can you improve the sales pitch? How can you improve the questions? Or whatever the offer is, right? So if you take those three things and you kind of go through the strategic planning, you go through the collaboration and figuring out how to execute on that, and then that post-sales activities, I guarantee you're going to see an increase in business. You're going to see an increase at least in more opportunities and getting deeper into those things. So I hope this has helped. I hope it gives you some ideas about what team selling really can do in your business. And please leave a comment below. Ask any questions. More than happy to help out in any way. Really appreciate your time. Have a wonderful evening. Celebrate those wins.